welcome to Talk Crypto. I'm Ben Parry. This is a one-take video. I hope you really like it. We're going to just bash it out and hopefully I'll share some value with you. At the end of the video, I'm going to share with you my $1 a day Bitcoin challenge, just to let you know how many sats I managed to accumulate today. But let's dive straight into it. But before I do, please, if you're watching this video, give it a like. It doesn't cost anything. Really appreciate it, and subscribe. You know, again, the more people we can join this community, the more hopefully we can share more knowledge and we can all learn together. So yeah, really appreciate it if you can just do that for me now. So one thing I want to talk about is where the price of Bitcoin is going, prediction, speculation, and all that type of thing. I've put a few sort of crazy bullish videos out there talking about the potential for 1.2 million Bitcoin price target. In all honesty, I have got no idea. But at the very early stages of starting with these videos, I was talking about the potential, I think, for 200, 250. At that time, we were sort of, I think it was like November time last year, 2023, and there was still a lot of caution in the market. We were things weren't really looking that positive until sort of around about October, late in 2023. Despite when you look at it, 2023 was a phenomenal year in terms of pure returns. But just remember, a lot of that came towards the end of 2023. So people at that time were still a little bit cautious about to throw out crazy speculative figures. But at that time, I was very much thinking, I don't know. I think people are sort of trying to keep the pan calm rather than letting things boil over at such an early stage. And my thought process was there was still a lot of negative sentiment. Still, we weren't quite sure if we were in the bull run yet. So a lot of uncertainty still. And I was talking about sort of 200, 250 back then. Now that's 150 to 250 is becoming much more prevalent. Indeed, I'm hearing a lot of people now talking about ranges of between 250 to a million Bitcoin. I think the reality is, guys, no one has any idea. But what we're trying to, I guess, keep an eye on is what's the sentiment in the market? Where are prices at? What are the indicators? Where are we in the cycle? And one thing that's very prevalent, and the thing really I want to sort of talk about, is this view that diminishing returns will always continue. Now, that may well be the case. Again, I don't know what's going to happen. We just got to keep a very close eye on it. But I think we've got to challenge our thinking to question, what's happened in the past isn't necessarily going to happen in the future. Things may rhyme, but they don't necessarily repeat. And, when we look at the stock to flow model with plan B, I was hearing about this another model that someone was talking about recently, which I'll do another video on at some point. There is clearly a diminishing returns, and that sort of it makes logical sense. Now, the problem is that makes sense until it doesn't. We've experienced for the first time a new all-time high before the halving. That's never happened before. It's never happened before. We're about 30 days approximately away from the halving, and we've never ever hit an all-time high. So just because things may have happened in the past doesn't necessarily mean it will happen in the future. And this is a great example of that. So I think we might, and again, I don't know for sure, of course I don't, but just because something's happened before doesn't necessarily mean it will happen again. Just because returns have historically diminished over time doesn't necessarily mean we're not going to see some incredible crazy event. Remember, we're talking about Bitcoin, which is a complete revolution in terms of so many aspects, in terms of new money, in terms of being decentralized, in terms of no government control, in terms of being a hard cap, in terms of so many incredible features that Bitcoin has. We're only at about 1% adoption, roughly. We've seen this huge inflow of capital with the ETFs. There's going to be more and more people coming into the space over time. If we're at 1% adoption, is that going to be a really sort of smooth curve with diminishing returns over time, or are we going to see something completely different? So really, no one knows. And we've just got to look at these models and actually take it with a pinch of salt, take people's price targets with a pinch of salt, enjoy them because, hey, it's fun watching these, videos that people talk about, these wild, crazy, $1 billion price predictions and all the rest of it. So, enjoy it. It's great to have a bit of hopium. It's great to have a bit of positivity because the market was so down for so long and people were really, really struggling. Now we're seeing some real positivity, hopium, new projects are coming into the space. And I think what we've just got to be mindful of is no one has a crystal ball. No one really knows what's going to happen. So when we hear price targets, when we hear speculation, don't think that one person that you're listening to, is going to be correct or is going to be right. Just listen to a wide range of opinions, do your own research, keep a very close eye on things, and make your own judgment. Now, again, ultimately, if you're looking to buy and not sell them for 10, 15, 20 years, then price is an irrelevance right now. But obviously, if you're looking to look at playing the 4-year cycles like I am, then we've got to try and time those points in the cycles to go, okay, well, that potentially we get close to the top, the indicators are looking maybe a little bit hot, there's a lot of things are going a bit crazy, maybe this is the time to take some chips off the table, and then equally when there's blood on the street, we want to be looking to rebuy in. So it's trying to pick those moments, for me anyway, that I'm going to be looking at very closely. And if I'm looking at a range of, say, $250 to $1 million, that's a little bit scary, actually. Because if I exit the whole market and we hit 250, 240, and I'm out, and then we dip, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm a genius, I've called it, I made a good call, but then we see a second massive run. I think it was 2013 that we had a big correction, a big all-time high, big correction, and then a massive run up until, I think, 2013-ish. I can't remember. We'll have to check the charts on that one. And obviously what could happen is suddenly the price suddenly shoots, where I sold at, say, 250, price drops down to, say, 150, and then it skyrockets up to $1 million. I could be sort of kicking myself. So I think the way, we've got to think about it is go, okay, well, we've got to play out these scenarios in our minds. We've got to think about, okay, does it matter? Does it matter that I missed that massive run if I've made a good profit? Does it really, really matter? Or actually, do I want to keep some chips on the table, not cash out all of it, just in case we have that exponential sort of crazy, bull run that no one sort of foresaw, that, has broken all charts, has crushed the diminishing returns story that we're all told. So I think we've just got to be really on it, not getting too crazy in terms of our excitement, trying to keep our emotions under control, looking at charts, looking at some sort of indicators. I'm going to be looking at a lot more indicators than I've done in the past. I've tended to go off sentiment, listening to what the community is talking about, listening to the news, watching this space every day for the last 4 or 5 years. But I'm going to start looking into a lot more sort of graphical data. I'm not into looking at charts. I'm not looking into day trading. I haven't got time for that. It does not interest me one bit. Quite happy to play the 4-year cycles, play the long game, and look to be investing for that long-term future. So hopefully that maybe just sort of gives you something to think about. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Are we going to see diminishing returns continue? If so, what does that look like? We'll find out in time. Proof's going to be in the pudding, as they say. Now, guys, before I wrap up, as you know, hopefully, if I can encourage one person to do the $1 a day Bitcoin challenge, which is basically DCAing $1 every day for the next 10 years, looking at the sort of 2033 period. So we're looking at 9-10 years to see where we are then. I managed to buy 1,934 sats for $1. In truth, you will see in my notes description, it's not exactly $1 because I'm using British pounds, so it does work out slightly more. So it's going to be really fascinating to see how it goes. Where does that end up? You know, what does $1 a day buy me in 10 years time? Is it 100 sats? Is it 10 sats? So it's going to be, you know, or even is it one sat? That is actually the aim. The aim is $1 to be one sat. So yeah, it's a little bit of fun, a little bit of game, a little bit of way to hopefully encourage you, if you're new to this space, just dipping your toe into Bitcoin. Just buy a little bit, buy $1, even if it's just $1 a day. Dollar cost averaging, just slowly dipping your toe into it, getting used to the you know, investing into Bitcoin, thinking about Bitcoin, doing your research on Bitcoin, and exploring the wider crypto space. So listen, guys, hope you like the video. If you're still here, do my $1 a day Bitcoin DCA challenge, and yeah, love to you all, and keep tuned in, and I'll catch up with you soon. Take care.